Piers Morgan is out at TalkTv. The Times reported that after nearly 2 years of the daily 8 p.m. show, Piers Morgan is leaving the, quote, unnecessary straitjacket, end quote, of his Talk TV show to focus on a successful, uncensored YouTube channel. Yes, the fact that it's called Piers Morgan Uncensored, and he claims to have been straitjacketed by it, it's very funny. The year was 2022, and what the UK and really the world needed were more white men claiming about being canceled when they've never, in fact, been canceled, or really have been held responsible for anything. The deal, worth £50 million for 3 years, included Talk TV, which is owned by News UK, which is Rupert Murdoch, and The Sun, which is one of their tabloids. Of course, this comes after Piers Morgan said on his talk show last night that he would like to metaphorically dismember Prince Harry. Metaphorically does not make this any better. But despite complaints, I doubt this was the tipping point. I think it simply comes down to finances. I think it has more to do with the fact that Piers Morgan's contract is coming up, and they spend a lot of money on him. Piers commands a large salary, maybe one that Talk TV can no longer take on. They're losing the war with GB News, so there's even talk if Talk TV will continue. My guess is they decided to word it as Piers Morgan is deciding to leave. It helps him save face. It helps Talk TV save face. It's kind of like a nice way to part. I want to go back briefly to Piers Morgan and Rupert Murdoch. Piers Morgan was first hired by The Sun in the late 1980s as their showbiz editor. In 1994, at the age of 29, he was appointed the editor of News of the World by Rupert Murdoch, making him the youngest editor of a British national newspaper in more than half a century. A lot of people say he was promoted too rapidly, and he leaves to edit the Daily Mirror, another tabloid owned by a different conglomerate a year later. Rupert Murdoch is quoted in this article as saying in 1995 that Piers Morgan went over the top, referring to his coverage and pursuit of Lady Diana Spencer, who Piers likes to pretend nowadays was his good friend. While Piers Morgan was at News of the World, he made a friend with another young aspiring editor, one Rebekah Brooks, who is referred to in Spare as Rehabber Cooks. It's important to remember this, and the fact that Piers Morgan was at The Sun and the News of the World when a lot of those phone hacking allegations started. What dirt could he have on those newsrooms? Recall, the way Rupert Murdoch managed this was that they isolated it to News of the World, closed News of the World, and said it was just a couple of rogue reporters like Clive Goodman. And then Andy Coulson, who was the deputy director to Rebekah Brooks, became editor of News of the World. He was kind of the fall guy. But even he, in his criminal trial, only got 5 months. This is an interesting time for Piers Morgan. In the case that Harry won against the Mirror newspaper group back in December, the judgment was that the higher-up executives and editors had to know about the phone hacking that was going on at their own paper, which would include, and the judge did accept evidence against, one Piers Morgan. Among the testimony given was by Omid Scobie, who said that as a young intern at the Mirror, he heard firsthand about voicemail interception with Mr. Morgan present. Who can forget that wild press conference that Piers Morgan gave the day of the verdict in front of his house and that plastic lemon wreath? Because of the judgment in the ruling in the Prince Harry Mirror Group case, there is a growing call for Scotland Yard to reinvestigate the phone hacking scandals involving Piers Morgan. Not saying that plays a role in Piers Morgan parting ways with Talk TV. No alt-right GoFundMe yet, like Dan Wooten. There's still time, though. I want to end with this piece from The Guardian from 2017, which was an interview with Piers Morgan. The author writes that they'd known Morgan ever since he was a loud, precocious young editor of the Daily Mirror in the 1990s and generally enjoyed his company. Recently, the journalist saw Piers Morgan reduce a young female guest to tears on Good Morning Britain, berating her as the worst kind of mother. And the author wondered if they would still enjoy Piers Morgan's company. Quote, "The tone felt uncomfortably ugly, more in keeping with an alt-right online troll than the mischief maker who used to conduct playful feuds with clowns like Jeremy Clarkson," end quote. And in many ways, he is just becoming that online troll. He's got Twitter. He's going to have his YouTube channel. I wish this was a sign that we were moving away from polarizing, bombastic entertainers, because it's really not journalism. But I think that this is probably not the last time we see Piers Morgan on TV, not the last time he is elevated to these platforms to share his abhorrent views.